Hello my friends, welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Today I'm in Waterloo, Iowa, and I am at the John Deere Tractor and Engine Museum. So a couple days ago I was in Minnesota at Farm Fest with my dad, and took a lot of videos of tractors and that sort of thing. Sort of the heart of me. I grew up in the country. I grew up as a young man as a farmer and joined the military. Got out of that lifestyle, but that's pretty much what built me into the person who I am. So tractors, farming, that sort of thing, it still means a lot to me, and I think a lot of y'all may find it somewhat interesting. So today I'm going to see what they got in the museum here. I'm going to check it out. I spent the night at a friend's house here in Waterloo, and I have another friend I have to touch base with here as well. And then looking at the map, there's some interesting things in this area. So initially, I kind of thought Iowa, first thoughts of Iowa, it's cornfields and straight roads and not a lot here, but within 100 miles of this area here in Waterloo, so we have the John Deere Museum. There is a motorcycle museum that I did not know about. I just heard about it the other day, so I'm going to check that out. And then also, we have the site where the Kevin Costner movie Field of Dreams was made. So I'm going to try to hit all these items here today, and then find a place to stay for the night and get down to help my older brother work on my sister's home in Clinton, Iowa tomorrow. So I got a jam-packed day. It's early, it's 9 a.m. The museum opens, so let's see what this is all about. Let's check it out. So far I've only been in the museum for about 10 or 15 minutes, but very, very interesting stuff here. They got all the way from the very start of John Deere, which was, for those of you who don't know, the John Deere company actually started with a plow. So early farmers used a wooden plow behind horses, of course. And in the prairie land up here, it's very dark, moist soil, and the soil was sticking to the wooden plows. So the blacksmith, he was a blacksmith apprentice, John Deere, decided that he would add metal to the edge of the wooden plow. And that's what started the John Deere company. And there was several engine companies that worked in this area of Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa. When they started making small stationary engines, 20% of the engines in the U.S. were made in this area. So that's why John Deere settled here to start a company in Waterloo, Iowa. One of their first tractors is called the Waterloo Boy. Let's go over here, I'll show it to you here. There you go. And then over here, they got some of their early items. Stationary engines, corn planter, and there you go. There's some information about John Deere. It's a blacksmith, and this is a replica of their first plow, which kind of started the company. So here was something I found pretty interesting. They're kind of showing how the tractors go down the assembly line here. So this was a John Deere 4020 tractor, and these steel wheels that are on it, they said were used throughout the factory until it got to the end. And this is before they put bodywork on and before they painted it. And then this is the completed tractor. 4020, I think I said a 4010, but very similar tractors. But I thought it was pretty interesting. I was like, why do they have these steel wheels on here? And of course, you go to these kind of things and you read about it, and it says here the steel wheels were used in the factory. Very interesting, kind of a cutaway showing what the underside of it looked like in the factory. This is a very neat museum if you're into this sort of thing. I would think even car guys and people who are interested in manufacturing and you'd all be interested in it, and best part is it's free. Can't beat that. Nice people here. I've been walking around. There's curators or whatever you'd call them around here, and they're always asking asking you questions. You can ask them questions, and just a neat little place. So if you ever end up in central Iowa, Waterloo, I highly recommend you making a stop. And this kind of shows a pretty good contrast here of farming of days gone by. So this is a John Deere Model B. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert here. We'll read on it here. 1951. This is a John Deere 8400. Hang on a minute, let's go back here. This doesn't say how many horsepower this tractor had, but this John Deere 8400R says it has a 400 engine horsepower. So it's kind of interesting that these are the new tractors, and there's a lot of farms that still have tractors operating just like that on them to this day. So small tractors still have their use, but farming has definitely gotten bigger. If you build it, he will come. So that's the line, of course, from A Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner movie. I can't remember the year. I'm sure I'll find out. I just got here to the Field of Dreams movie site, just outside of Dyersville, Iowa. This isn't the sort of thing I would usually stop at, but it wasn't out of the way. Not much, a little bit. And I found it kind of interesting. I remember watching the movie, and I remember hearing about this little plot of farmland turned into a baseball field, particularly just for the movie. And then I've heard of some of the struggles about this site. So I would have to look it all up. I'm not sure if I remember it all, and possibly when I get here I'll find out a little bit more about it. But this site was chosen because of the angle of the property and how far away it was from the small town here. And part of the problem is that this baseball diamond lies on kind of a border of two different properties. So there's sort of a struggle with the different concessions here. There's two different families that run them. So there's the house. From what I understand, you have to pay to tour the house. Now, I'm not that into this thing, so I'm probably not going to tour the house. From what I've heard, they do exhibition baseball games here certain nights, and the players walk out from the corn just like on the movie. And that might be pretty interesting if you lived around here to come check something like that out. So I don't know if you ever get up in this area of Iowa, any of my viewers, you could check it out. Okay, here we go. 1989. Holy smokes, almost 30 years ago. Now, I remember shortly after this movie came out, I saw a thing on the news about this. When I say shortly, within the first 5 years. That crops out here is sort of a big piece of their economy. And the owners of this land had actually initially plowed up the entire outfield and planted corn. And maybe they didn't realize that this was going to be a little tourist attraction. And it's a Friday. And there's a good amount of people here. I don't know how many people are in the town that I just went through to get out here. But, you know, you got about a dozen cars. I've seen people coming and going since I've been here. All right. Well, actually, it looks like possibly I'm wrong with the two property owners. It looks like maybe one is owning it now. So. Yeah, okay. For what I'm reading here, you know, I'll let you all do your own research if you're interested in it. But what a great idea these folks had to bring their baseball mitts and bats and stuff and come out here and play a little bit on the field of dreams. People going into the corn. It's just kind of neat. I'm not into celebrities, that sort of thing, but it's kind of cool just to stop here for a minute, check it out. So there you have it. Central Iowa. Well, I'm actually more towards eastern Iowa. Field of Dreams. If you find yourself out here on a beautiful summer day, come check it out. Bring your ball, bring your glove, run the bases. Enjoy yourself. All right, so still have a bit of sunlight left, actually quite a bit. There's a motorcycle museum about 40 or 50 miles from here that I'm gonna check out. So that'll be the next video. Nice easy ride from Field of Dreams over here to Anamosa, Iowa. And this is the National Motorcycle Museum, as I showed you. I didn't know anything about this, or actually, I didn't really know anything about Field of Dreams either, or the John Deere Museum. So it's been a very nice day finding all these little hidden treasures in Iowa. I was very happy that I was able to spend time with a couple of Navy buddies. But in order to find all these things, this is a little bit of icing on the cake. So I'm gonna go in here, check it out. I'll shoot a little bit of video inside for y'all as well. But you know, you think about Iowa and you don't think about some interesting stuff, well, I guess they've got it here. And the beautiful cordoned off area here for the motorcycle parking. I like to see that when I got here. So there's a couple other bikes here. We'll go meet some people. So right away when I step in here, there's an Evel Knievel exhibit, and I'll tell you what, I really am a big fan of old Evel Knievel. The guy was a nut. He was ahead of his time. You think about the X Games boys and girls these days doing this sort of thing, and I mean, everything they do just makes his accomplishments seem like not a lot, but he was ahead of his time. No one else was doing something like this at that time, so I know this is going to be a great place for me to check out just because of the very first thing I see when I get in here. Little Evel Knievel. I got here at 3 o'clock and this place closes at 5. Hopefully I get to see everything because this is really up my alley. The John Deere Museum was great this morning. Love it. But obviously anyone who knows me knows I love motorcycles. This beautiful Norton here. Little Harley XR 750. This is one of the common bikes that Evel Knievel used to do a lot of his jumps. 1972 XR 750. Amazing. One of my riding heroes is Malcolm Smith. If you're into old racing, you'd know Malcolm Smith. He's starred actually, well not starred, but he was a star in a movie called On Any Sunday. And the guy is just an all-around good guy. He won a couple Baja races. He raced in all kinds of different races. I think he won an international 6 days enduro. It's really neat to see one of his motorcycles here. And I know if my son is watching, he'll like it. We used to watch On Any Sunday quite often. There's some Malcolm Smith signed items. Interesting old bicycles. This old Excelsior Henderson. This place is set up really neat. This just like an old machine shop in here. Dirt bikes from the 1960s and 1970s. all the way up to a more recent Yamaha right here. I could probably shoot an hour or two's worth of footage in here. These big tires. Yeah, this is a great place. If you find yourself out here and you're into motorcycles, go a little bit out of your way if you have to check it out. Some old brands that don't exist anymore. Montesa, CZ, Jawa, Penton, which started, Penton started KTM. This is a Sachs, it looks like, Sachs engine. I don't know what this actually is. No, it's titled as a Penton. Another CZ, Can-Am, which is actually back in business. They were out of business for a while. Taco, Mako, Braco. Oh, Rickman Matisse. Beautiful. Definitely a good place to go. Here we have some great 1970s to 1980s Japanese bikes. Every one of them looks like you could be in a showroom darn near. And this is sort of my era of bikes. This is what I started with, and still end up with a few bikes like this once in a while when I'm looking for good deals. Kawasaki KZ1000 all decked out. This was very common stuff in the late 70s, early 80s. They didn't make full-on touring bikes, so people added all these goodies. This company named Vetter, Craig Vetter, owned the company, and he made these fairings, plastic fairings, saddlebags, trunks, which eventually led to Honda using that design for the very first Goldwing. It's pretty much the same deal. So pretty interesting stuff. And of course, hundreds and hundreds of bikes. There's a Triumph X75 right there in the middle, that orange one. I've never seen one of those in real life. First time I've seen one. I've seen them in magazines. This is a 6-cylinder Honda. 6 cylinders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great big engine. I made these only a couple of years. They're very collectible. Lots of Honda 4-cylinders here in this row. So here's a few more that I have never seen in person. We have a Vincent Black Shadow and a Brough Superior. If I remember correctly, which one of these was it? One of these two. Lawrence of Arabia owned one of these. There's another Brough Superior. And some more Vincents. A really nice looking BSA. Some old flat track bikes. Yeah, this, if I win the lottery, I'm just going to buy this place. There's an entire section here of Indian motorcycles starting back in the early 1900s. These old bicycle style motorcycles. Board track style racing bikes. There's a 3-wheeled server car type deal. And a sidecar. All the way up to the ones that were quite popular with the big fully balanced fenders. There's an Indian inline 4-cylinder. I've never seen one of those before. It's a beautiful one right there, blue one. And then up to kind of their more modern bikes here. I haven't seen a new one in here. Polaris purchased Indian, and now they produce the bikes. So they're pretty interesting here. Big. And there's a Victory right there. So Victory was the brand that Polaris used to make, and now they have Indian as well. And I think they quit making the Victory bikes. So lots of Indian motorcycles here that I have not seen before. Yeah, this 4-cylinder one is really interesting to me. Harley board track racer. This whole board track racing is popular in the 1920s. People were crazy. They go around on these little motorcycles across on this, oil leaking out. Who knows what happens if you crash on that? Probably not a lot good. All right, we'll continue on here. So this entire section here is all Harley Davidson. Pretty large area. In this neck of the woods, Harley is the most common bike that you see. I'd say about 9 out of 10 bikes I see on the road are Harleys, and out of the remaining 10%, I would say half of the rest are big touring bikes, something similar to mine, or like a Goldwing, or import cruisers, and very few sport bikes in this neck of the woods here in the Midwest. So Harley is a very popular bike around here, and as they are around the country and around the world. We have some very nice old examples here. Early 1912 Harley Davidson. That one's beautifully restored. And that's a single cylinder, by the way, for those of you who think Harley Davidson's only V-twins. There's an early V-twin. I really kind of like these unrestored bikes just as much or better than the restored ones. But I don't know how many Harleys they have, because there was Harley Davidsons in other sections here as well. So this isn't the only place they had them, but this whole area here is all Harley Davidson. Pretty good stuff. Now here's something I never thought I would ever see. I remember reading an article on this motorcycle. This is a hand-built motorcycle. The guy built it. I don't remember the year. Well, I guess 1965. A guy built this motorcycle, and he was legendarily known around the area because he would get on it and just ride it everywhere. And I remember reading an article in a magazine about this, maybe in the mid-90s. And I just thought it was kind of hilarious the way they wrote it up and the way they talked about this motorcycle that he built out of spare parts and junk. And here it is. This thing is 10, 15 feet long. Wow. Here we go. Let's see what we got about this thing here. Try to get the glare off there. 3,000 pounds. The wheelbase is over 10 feet. The length is 17 feet. That's really cool to me, because I read about this thing in a magazine probably 20 years ago or more, and kind of had forgotten about it, but to see it here It's pretty neat. They got everything here. Yeah, and what motorcycle museum wouldn't be complete without the Captain America bike from Easy Rider? Now, this is just a replica, it's not the original. But wait, there's more. We also got the Billy bike. Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper. Iconic motorcycle movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's pretty neat. You got Jack Nicholson in it as well. It's been a pretty darn good day today. Got to see a lot of great things here, what Iowa has to offer. The John Deere Museum, Field of Dreams, and now the National Motorcycle Museum. It's kind of unexpected. I wasn't planning on seeing all this stuff today. And here I am in Marosa, Iowa, about 50 miles away from Clinton, Iowa, where I'm supposed to be spending the next couple of days helping my brother, who's driving down from New Jersey. We're doing some work on my sister's house so that she can get out of assisted care living and move in. So this was a great day before getting there and getting put to work. I'm not sure where I'll be staying for the night, but I'm going to end my video here. Maybe shoot a little footage wherever I end up camping or whatever I end up doing for the evening. But thank you very much for joining me on this fun-filled Iowa journey today. And as I like to say, get out there and find your adventure. Adios.